What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, it seems like undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Terence Bud Crawford, superstar boxer. If he can't land the massive mega showdown with undefeated, unified WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer Earl the True Spence Jr., or his current WBO mandatory #1 challenger, two-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Shawn Porter. His promoter, legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO Bob Arum, is looking to put on a fight between Terence Crawford and undefeated, rising Mexican welterweight world superstar title contender, world champion title contender, Vergil Ortiz Jr. According to Golden Boy Promotions, legendary former world champion, former Olympic gold medalist, superstar boxer, Oscar the Golden Boy De La Hoya, who's promotes Vergil Ortiz Jr. Oscar De La Hoya stated that he recently went to Bob Arum's house. They had a sit down. They discussed a plethora of things, one in which was if Vergil Ortiz Jr., who has a showdown coming up March 20th against former junior welterweight world champion superstar boxer Maurice Mighty Mo Hooker, who has moved up to welterweight now, 147-pound division. They have a fight that's reported to be scheduled for March 20th of this year. And if Vergil Ortiz Jr. is successful, Vergil Ortiz would then be top 2 or #1 in the WBO ranking system, which means he'll be Terence Crawford's one of his mandatory challengers, as Showtime Shawn Porter is, and they're negotiating the possibility of making this fight happen. Okay, Vergil Ortiz is 22 years of age. He's 16-0, 16 by way of knockout. All 16 fights ended in him getting knockout. Stands at 5'10" with a 70-inch arm reach. He last fought in July 24th. Against Samuel Vargas of this year. And now, like I said, he'll be going into a fight with Maurice Hooker, which is not a walk in the park at all. Maurice Hooker was a world champion. He was the WBO junior welterweight world champion. He lost it to Jose Ramirez. Maurice Hooker is definitely a tough out. Maurice Hooker, is very rangy, very tall, has power, has great boxing ability. So Maurice Hooker, is definitely a dangerous opponent for Vergil Ortiz, okay? Maurice Hooker, 27-1, 27 wins, 1 loss, 3 draws on his resume, 18 wins by way of knockout. He himself was stopped. That was against Jose Ramirez, okay? With that said, the last time we saw Maurice Hooker in the ring was December 20th of 2019, in which he got a TKO victory over Yorel Perez. Okay, prior to that, in July 27th, the same day, Vergil Ortiz fought. He lost to Jose Ramirez. Maurice Hooker stands at 5'11" with an 80-inch arm reach, and he's 31 years of age. So he has an inch height advantage over Vergil Ortiz, and he has a 10-inch arm reach advantage over Vergil Ortiz. That is astounding, okay? And he has great boxing ability. He has more experience. He has the edge and experience. So, this speaks volumes for, Vergil Ortiz. This is a huge step up in the career of Vergil Ortiz Jr., okay? So this is, a huge step up in the career of Vergil Ortiz Jr. So with that said, Vergil Ortiz Jr., Maurice Hooker, he's going to be the favorite, Vergil Ortiz, because he has a lot of power. And we've seen Maurice Hooker in the ring with a style like Vergil Ortiz, and he didn't fare well when he faced off against Jose Ramirez, okay? There's a lot of similarities between Vergil Ortiz Jr. and Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez, 26-0, 17 by way of knockout. He stands at 5'10" with a 72-inch arm reach, 28 years of age. Okay, Jose Ramirez is not the greatest technical boxer, but he has a lot of power, and he's a pressure fighter. Okay, so he continues to put relentless pressure on his opponents. He eventually breaks you down with his power, and Vergil Ortiz, is the same way, 5'10" with a 70-inch arm reach. But the difference is Vergil Ortiz has much shorter arms than Jose Ramirez, but he might have more power than Jose Ramirez, that being Vergil Ortiz. So Vergil Ortiz is going to be expected to win this fight. He's going to be the favorite in this fight, and that's a huge fight. We heard Vergil Ortiz call out Terence Crawford on numerous occasions now, and now it seems like it's a reality, right? As Oscar De La Hoya stated, that he has been negotiating with Bob Arum to make this fight come to fruition. So that speaks volumes, okay? Now, in my opinion, do I believe Vergil Ortiz is ready for Terence Bud Crawford? No. Even after he's victorious against Maurice Hooker, should he be victorious against Maurice Hooker? I think styles make fights. Terence Crawford's style, Terence Crawford ring IQ, Terence Crawford power in both hands, Terence Crawford foot speed, Terence Crawford accuracy, Terence Crawford ability to switch from southpaw to orthodox, I think is going to prove to be far too much for Vergil Ortiz Jr. Now, Vergil Ortiz Jr. does have a lot of power, and we saw Terence Crawford at times struggle with people that are rangy, okay? He struggled, he had a hard time figuring out and calculating the distance when it came to him fighting Jose Benavidez. Now, Jose Benavidez is far taller and more rangy than Vergil Ortiz, but Jose Benavidez, doesn't pack as much power as Vergil Ortiz does. He doesn't have as much skill. I think Vergil Ortiz may have more skill than Jose Benavidez. Jose Benavidez was seen as a blue chip prospect. He finished his career, and right now he's inactive, 27-1, 27 wins, 1 loss, 18 by way of knockout. His last fight was Terence Crawford. That was back in October of 2018. He stands at 6 feet tall with a 73-inch arm reach, okay? He gave Terence Crawford issues with his range. And then in Kell Brook, Terence Crawford's last fight, when he faced off against Kell Brook's range and his boxing ability seemed to give Terence Crawford a little bit of issues as well in that fight. Kell Brook stands at 5'9" with a 69-inch arm reach. So he doesn't even have arm reach advantage over, Vergil Ortiz Jr. Vergil Ortiz Jr. has a longer arm reach and more power than Kell Brook, and he's more youthful, okay? But the problem is Terence Crawford finds a way. He's going to find a way to get it done. Terence Crawford is going to make adjustments. He's going to figure out Vergil Ortiz. Now, Terence Crawford chooses to fight in the manner he fought against Igor Kavalauskas, or he chooses to fight in the manner he fought against, Jeff Horn, or even the manner he chose to fight against, Kell Brook. He may have a bit of problems because Vergil Ortiz Jr. has a lot of power. But for the most part, I don't see Vergil Ortiz winning this fight against Terence Crawford. I don't even see, Vergil Ortiz having too much success because, again, Terence Crawford has quick feet, quick hands. He's accurate. He has power in both hands. He can switch from orthodox to southpaw. He's versatile. He could give you different looks. And I don't believe that Maurice Hooker, what he presents against Vergil Ortiz, is going to be enough for him to be able to garner enough experience to be able to deal with the looks and what Terence Crawford is going to bring to the table. So I personally think that Terence Crawford is going to knock out Vergil Ortiz because I believe he'll get in the inside. I believe that, he's going to be accurate with his punches. He's going to change levels from the body up to the head. He's going to give him different looks from southpaw and orthodox stands. He's quicker. And I think that ultimately he's going to stop Vergil Ortiz Jr. It's going to be an exciting fight, exciting build-up. But for the most part, I see Terence Crawford winning this fight. I would much rather see Terence Crawford face off against Sean Porter because what Sean Porter is going to bring to the table, he's going to press Terence Crawford to the brink physically and mentally with his relentless pressure, his experience, his footwork. I believe that Sean Porter may have better footwork than Terence Crawford. Now, the difference is he doesn't have the power that Terence Crawford has, that being Sean Porter. But Sean Porter can make it a rough, rugged fight. He's just as strong, if not stronger than Terence Crawford. He has more experience. He has the same amount, if not more experience than Terence Crawford on the big stage. So Sean Porter knows what it takes to win on that level. Sean Porter is versatile. Sean Porter can box on the outside. He can box on the inside. He can make it rough, rugged fight. You know, he has better footwork. He can give you more angles than Terence Crawford. I favor Terence Crawford to win the fight, but you know, it's going to be a rough outing, more so than Vergil Ortiz. I expect Terence Crawford to outclass Vergil Ortiz, and I think this may be a mistake on the part of Oscar De La Hoya, moving Vergil Ortiz too fast. I don't believe he could cope with Terence Crawford. But let's see how this plays out and unfolds. That's all I got for y'all. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.